Your keyboard sucks. Well, your keyboard probably sucks. Does it look like this? Yeah, it sucks. Have you ever wondered why the letters on your keyboard are in the order that they're in? Probably because it's efficient for typing or something, right? Wrong! This layout is actually one of the least efficient ways of distributing characters for typing. So where then did the QWERTY layout come from? And why does nearly every keyboard on Earth use it? Well, first I should explain why QWERTY is bad, and for that, there are a lot of reasons. In general, typing is most efficient when you're alternating hands as much as possible between letters. Apricot, for example, is one of the easiest 7-letter words to type on a keyboard. When you type one letter with your right hand, you have time to move your left hand into position to type the next letter. But for most words on a QWERTY keyboard, this actually doesn't happen as often as it should. Many common words, like was and were, are meant to be typed entirely with your left hand, while your right hand does nothing. Common letters are a problem too. While the home row is the quickest row to access, some of the most common letters are found above and below it, meaning you only stay on the home row for about 32% of strokes and often have to jump over it to get between letters. I won't get into everything here, but the point is that it's bad. And it's weird that it's bad, because it's everywhere. So if it wasn't designed for efficiency, what was it designed for? To answer this question, we've got to hop in our time machine. We'll take a quick pit stop in 1933 to kill Hitler, and then we'll make a beeline for the 1840s to look at some dusty old keyboards. The earliest examples of what you might call a keyboard looked like this, much closer to a piano keyboard with the letters arranged alphabetically. This fairly niche invention was designed to simplify the sending and receiving of telegrams, but, due to some technical constraints, could only transmit about 40 words per minute. The letters could have been rearranged for more efficient typing, but there was really no point. 40 words per minute is just not that fast. And besides, there wasn't really anything happening in the 1840s that was worth typing quickly about anyway. Now, when typewriters first hit the scene, they originally adopted this same design. 2 rows like a piano, arranged alphabetically. But unlike its higher-tech predecessor, this typewriter could theoretically transmit words as fast as the user could type, which presented its designers with a question. What's the most efficient layout of the Roman alphabet? The first major revision of the keyboard saw them grouping all the vowels together at the top while reversing the order of the second half of the consonants. This design was then sold to the arms manufacturer Remington, who was looking to get into a new business since the American Civil War had just wrapped up, and they figured that that was probably the last time anyone would need guns. Remington brought the typewriter to the mass market with a few additional revisions, introducing the world to the concept of a keyboard with this. The arrangement of keys here is almost identical to the modern QWERTY keyboard, except for the positions of M, X, and C, and a few missing keys, including, bizarrely, 1 and 0, which was considered unnecessary. I'm not exactly sure what people thought when they saw a keyboard for the first time and it looked like this because, as far as I can tell, Remington never bothered to explain why the letters are where they are. They were just like, this is what a keyboard is, have fun! In the ensuing century and a half, people developed a bunch of different theories about why exactly Remington put the alphabet in a blender. The most popular theory was that it was designed to deliberately slow typists down by separating common letter pairs like HE, AN, or RO. The thinking was that typing pairs too quickly might jam the older typewriters and that an inefficient layout might prevent that from happening. The strongest aspect of this theory is that it makes for a really good title on r/Today I Learned, and the only problem with this theory is that it doesn't make any sense at all. While some letter pairs are far apart, many aren't. The most common English bigram, T and H, is right next to each other. So are E and R. So are S and E. If the whole point of this layout was to separate common letter pairs, this would be a pretty stupid way of doing it. It wasn't until 2011 that this paper out of Kyoto University cracked the code, and that code was Morse code. You see, the QWERTY layout was meant to be efficient, but efficient for a very specific purpose. While these days the primary use for a typewriter is as a substitute for having a personality in college, they were originally used for transcribing telegrams. And unless you received your telegram with someone with this aforementioned doohickey, the message would have been received at the telegraph office in the form of Morse code, audible dots and dashes that would then be transcribed in real time to readable text. The operators at these telegraph offices needed to be able to type quickly and accurately without confusing one set of beeps for another. In American Morse, which is slightly different from modern Morse code, there are a lot of letters, or a combination of letters, that can be hard to distinguish from one another. Z, for example, could easily be confused for SE, so when operators received a Z, they would often wait to type it until they received a few more letters. That way, they could know for sure if it was a Z or an SE. At that point, though, they were already behind, so if they had their hand hovering over the Z and it turned out to be an SE, they didn't want to have to move their hand all the way across the keyboard to find those other letters. It was important they were close by for a quick correction. And lo and behold, S and E are right next to Z on the keyboard right in front of you. Of course, these Morse code pairings don't account for the entirety of QWERTY's layout. You can see traces of a bunch of other random things in there, like needing to keep the I and O near the 9 key because the keyboard originally didn't have a 1 or a 0, putting the Y near the center of the keyboard because the guy who patented the typewriter demanded that it be there for some reason, grouping vowels near the top because that's where they got stuck originally, and even some sections that remain alphabetical from the keyboard's very earliest origins. In short, QWERTY is a messy compromise between half a dozen things that haven't mattered since the literal invention of Idaho. So now that I've convinced you that your keyboard sucks, and it sucks for no reason, you're probably wondering if there's something better. Well, there is, and it's this, the Dvorak keyboard. This layout was developed about 100 years ago to solve this exact problem, optimizing entirely for a right-handed person typing in English. Dvorak grouped all the vowels on the left side of the keyboard, with the most common consonants on the right, increasing the rate at which you alternate hands when typing a single word. On top of this, the most common letters and bigrams can be typed entirely on the home row, meaning that 70% of all typing is done without ever moving your hands. And by relegating the least common letters to the bottom row, only 8% of strokes require reaching down. Real typing nerds, who have probably already typed 1,000 words about why I'm stupid since I started this sentence, would probably point out that there's a modern version of this layout called the Colmac, which uses the same principles but slightly more efficiently, keeping 74% of all strokes to the home row instead of Dvorak's pitiful 70. Does that mean you should throw out your keyboard and restart your type to learn journey on Colmac? I mean, probably not. It would take you years to eke out even a slight improvement. If there's any improvement at all, then you'll probably never find a keyboard. Certainly not a laptop that uses anything other than QWERTY, unless you want to go down the rabbit hole of building your own keyboards, and as someone with 35 keyboards and zero money, trust me, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So suck it up, use your sucky keyboard like the rest of us, and just do it with the smug self-assuredness that it's history's fault that you didn't finish that paper faster. Now, if you're hearing these words that I'm speaking right now, congratulations. You just sat through a 7-minute video explaining why the Q key is in the wrong place on your keyboard. If you made it this far, it's probably because you get genuine satisfaction from learning new things, and if that's the case, I think you'll love our sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is my go-to resource for learning any new math or science concept that I want to get my brain around. They have thousands of lessons on everything from data science to calculus to programming in Python. Right now, I'm working my way through their course on large language models, and I love how intuitive and interactive each lesson is. I never have to read big chunks of text or study some problem over and over again. Everything is simple and fun, and best of all, I can learn for just a few minutes at a time. I'll do a lesson on the bus or when I'm doing my laundry, and then I can easily just pick up from where I was the next time I have a few spare minutes. It's the perfect way to get a little bit smarter every day, and if that sounds like a goal of yours, I can't recommend Brilliant enough. To try everything Brilliant has to offer free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/HAI or click on the link in the description. Better yet, you'll get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription, and you'll be supporting this channel too.